What's up everyone, my name's TJ and welcome to my review of the United Shapes Cadet snowboard. Let's get into it. Alright, I'm going to start things off talking about the construction and design of this snowboard, but first, for your reference, I'm 5'10", I weigh around 155 pounds, and I tested this board in size 154. Now the Cadet on the United Shapes line is more of a free ride, powder focused snowboard that has a freestyle personality. I'm going to talk a lot more about that throughout this review, but it's definitely a pretty unique one that I enjoyed a lot on a personal level. As far as the design goes, it does have a directional design. So you're going to get that directional outline with a noticeably longer nose up front here outside the front contact points and a shorter tail. You're also going to find a little bit of a setback, about a 20mm setback. So the inserts are shifted a little bit closer to the tail of the snowboard, naturally keeping your weight a little bit further back. And it does run a very minor taper as well. So the tail is slightly narrower than the nose of the snowboard, about 2mm narrower. So all of those things are going to work together to help give the board more surface area up front and help keep that nose up a little bit more easily in soft snow or powder snow conditions. Now, I do want to talk about the camber profile as well. That's going to play into this a little bit. Also, it does run a camber dominant profile. It runs what I would call a shifted camber. So you're going to find positive camber from the tail, that rear contact point, out to about the front insert pack, maybe a little bit outside the front inserts here. We're going to get an early rise rocker out into the nose. So it is going to give you that more powerful, energetic camber feel overall, since that camber runs through most of the board, through the main body of the snowboard. You're also going to get quite a bit of carbon built into the layup of this snowboard, specifically a fat carbon X in this thing going through the whole body of the board. So that's running from the front contact point across the whole body out to the rear contact point. And these are fat strips of carbon. You can actually see it through the top sheet here. And that's not only going to give the overall board more energy and snap and help you load more tension into this thing, but in that layup, in that X layup, it's going to make it a little bit more responsive torsionally when you try to twist the snowboard and turn it with your feet, making it more responsive edge to edge as well. There's still a couple more things I want to highlight in this snowboard. You're going to find United Shapes classic core. So it's a poplar Polonia core, relatively lightweight, but still durable and energetic, with some ashwood stringers mixed in there for some added dampening as well. And one other thing that I think is pretty cool with this style of snowboard that they included in the Cadet are these deep day inserts. So you can see you have your kind of standard insert pack and then a small gap and some extra inserts here. So if you do take this board out, maybe you're using this as your powder board as well as your resort board on those extra deep days, you can put your bindings here, shift that stance that much further back. Just keep your weight way back there, shorten up that tail and make it more maneuverable, make that nose longer, help it stay up on top of the soft snow a little bit easier, and just give your legs a little bit more of a break on those deep days while also making the board a little bit more maneuverable. But it does run a sintered base as well. So that's known to be a higher end base material. It's harder and more durable and faster compared to an extruded base. But it is the type of base material that you do want to wax regularly, so it has that nice fast glide through the whole season. And that's it for a tech breakdown here on the United Shapes Cadet. Let's talk about how this thing feels out around the mountain. Flex-wise, I'd say this board is pretty middle of the road for a free ride focused board, and it's going to come through with more of a mid-flex. It's a very capable snowboard, but you can still get a handle on it, and it feels about the same torsionally. It's nice and responsive, but still relatively easy to steer. So I think it has a really nice blend of performance and still maintaining a manageable feel. And if you are trying to get some flex out of this snowboard, this is a board that'll give up a good looking press, but not without any effort. You might have to muscle it a little bit, particularly in the tail, a little bit more than the nose. I think you get a little bit more stability back there. Definitely get more leverage with this longer nose and that reverse camber up there, making it a little bit easier to just sit in a taller press. But overall, it's not particularly catchy, feels really good for all kinds of flat ground maneuvers. And I would say the highlight for me with that type of riding was actually the energy and the kind of springy feel this board gives you. So launching out of those ground tricks, ollieing rollers, looking for side hits, doing all that kind of stuff, this board has a really fun feel, and it's going to come through with above average pop in my opinion. And I think that translates directly to riding with a more freestyle approach. And you know, I did take this board for some park laps as well, so let's talk about how this board fared in the terrain park. So I did spend a decent amount of time in the park at Copper getting some laps in. We did quite a few laps on the Cadet here, and I gotta say that might be the biggest standout highlight for me with the Cadet, because I think it's very unique to find a really great park feel in a board with this kind of shaping and design philosophy. But this thing pretty much feels like a park board. You know, lapping that park, I got some front boards, I gapped onto some rails, I was doing smaller features, tried some more techie tricks, and this thing is pretty comfortable on the rails. I really think the only thing you need to look out for is this longer nose. If you take any directional board in the park, that's always something that you want to have on your mind and takes a little bit of an adjustment. But as far as the feel of like steering into features, ollieing, popping the snowboard, landing switch, this board rides very comfortably switch, even though it does have that setback and slight taper. I don't really think that's going to be on your mind at all for switch landings in the terrain park. And it does have this ability to step up to some jumps as well. It's very cozy on the jumps. I was riding the medium line out at Copper, and typically on a board like this, I'd be trying some threes, you know, front threes, back threes, some 180s to test out the switch landing. But I was feeling some sevens on this thing. I tried a couple front sevens, couldn't quite get them clean, but I think that kind of shares a little bit about where I was at confidence-wise with this board under my feet, lapping the park out at Copper. So, you know, I think that is definitely something really cool with the Cadet here. It has just like an all-around park board flex and feel when it comes to maneuvering in there and loading up the board to, you know, make it work for you in the terrain park. That was a huge highlight for me and something that translates around the entire resort. So if you're like me and you enjoy riding with a more freestyle first approach, but kind of have the design and the tools that you need to get it done outside of the park as well, I think that is something that the Cadet offers that's pretty unique. Now, don't let that make you think this board is compromised out there exploring, ripping some groomers, or just getting out there making some turns. This board is a lot of fun around the rest of the resort. And two specs I want to highlight for you are the waist width, which at size 154, you're going to get a 25.7 centimeter waist, which is just a little bit of extra width, approaching a mid-wide, but not quite there yet, but does have a little bit of extra something for you to make those deeper carves that much more accessible, or, you know, something to help you out if you have a larger boot size to help reduce any heel or toe drag you might be finding. And it also runs a 7.4 meter side cut at this size, which is a little bit tighter actually. It's going to throw you into slightly tighter, more aggressive carves, which I think actually makes this board much more fun to play around with carving at more moderate speeds. But this thing is a ripper. This thing is a pleasure on edge. It's a board that you can really have a lot of fun diving into some deep turns confidently. This board holds a really great edge. That camber locks in very, very well, and it's still relatively easy to steer and turn. So it's not a super advanced board. I'd say, you know, more intermediate to high intermediate riders can still really have a lot of fun with this thing and not feel overpowered by it. If you're the type of rider that likes to just point the nose straight downhill, go bomb some hills and really let things loose, you know, if you try to find the limits of this snowboard, I think you will eventually be able to find them, get a little bit of chatter in the nose and things like that. But overall, I think it's going to provide enough performance where really anyone's going to be able to have a great time with this thing, even if you do start to push it a little bit into those more high performance scenarios. But generally, if I had to summarize the carving experience for you guys, I'd say this board is very locked in. It's confident underfoot. It's going to be able to blast through those more uneven chundry situations without making you feel too squirrely, and is very energetic as well. It's super fun jumping from your heel to your toe edge and using that energy that builds up through the camber in the tail of the snowboard to launch you into your next turn. So really fun out there for carving. Regardless of what style of carving you're into, I think you're gonna enjoy the Cadet. Like I mentioned at the beginning of the review, I did get this board out in the backcountry here in Colorado in some pretty nice, pretty deep conditions. And I think that's the type of condition where you're gonna notice these directional features really come together to help you out. You know, that directional outline, this longer pointy nose, that shifted camber with the reverse in the nose here, 20 mil setback, 2 mil taper. And a couple things I wanna highlight here with the shape is in the tail, you'll notice that it kind of has this just straight cutoff right here, reducing the surface area that much more, contributing to that directional outline. And the nose has a pretty mellow uplift, so it's able to glide on top of powder without being inclined to kind of plow into it as much like you would on maybe a more like twin tip kind of board if you've ever ridden your park board in the POW. And I think that this is a board that you're going to be very happy with in deeper snow conditions. If this is something you're buying, it's just your like one board Quiver for the resort to ride any day, any condition, the Cadet fills that void very well and could be a dedicated powder board if you're not quite ready to make that investment yet. I think this is something that is not as maneuverable as a powder specific board, but it's not going to be something that's on your mind as you're trying to wiggle through some trees or getting out there on a very deep day. If you do use these deep day inserts, I think it's going to shorten up the tail enough where it's going to feel a lot more like a fish and really maximize that maneuverability and the float. But I rode it at the reference stance and I found that it floated very well. I was able to ride pretty aggressively on the front foot and keep that nose up without an issue. To summarize the experience you're going to get with the United Shapes Cadet, I would say that this is a great all-around one board solution as a resort board for the more all-mountain free ride focused rider. It's going to be amazing on groomers. It's an absolute pleasure to carve and get on edge, and very capable out there as well. Something you can go explore the alpine and more techie terrain with, get in the trees, and really take out in any condition, whether it's a sunny, slushy day, a mid-season firm groomer day, or even a nice POW day, whether you're in the resort or the backcountry. It's going to hold up very well in those deeper snow conditions, but does have that freestyle personality and character at heart as a kicker. So if you want to take this thing to the terrain park, jib with it, hit some jumps, or maybe you just end up in there trying to ride some POW park, this thing is a lot of fun riding with a more freestyle approach as well. So very versatile, very energetic, just really fun snowboard you could take out any day, any condition, and have a good time. So if you're looking for something like that for your Quiver, maybe you're looking to level up your daily driver out here and you enjoy that type of riding, the United Shapes Cadet is definitely a board you should look at. I'm gonna have this thing linked down below the video so it's easy for you to find if you guys want to read a little bit more about it. Thank you guys for watching today. Let me know what you think about the Cadet down in the comments. And if you got some value, please don't forget to like the video and subscribe on your way out so you don't miss any of our future reviews. I appreciate you guys. Thank you for the support, and I'll see you in a new review next time. Later, guys.